Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Welcome to today's deep dive. Today we're looking at Mustafa Suleyman's book, The Coming Wave. And look, we're just going to bypass the usual introductory debates about,
Yeah.
whether AI will take your job because, well, you already know it's reshaping the landscape.
Yeah, totally.
Right. So our mission today is to really figure out why this specific convergence of technologies is uniquely uncontainable. And how society even begins to navigate what Suleyman calls the incredibly tricky middle path.
And that word, convergence, it's critical here. I mean,
Yeah.
the real threat isn't just a language model writing better software. We are looking at an incoming wave where AI is the intelligence layer, but then synthetic biology is the biological layer, and robotics is the physical layer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So just think about an AI design, like a novel, highly contagious pathogen, and then easily accessible automated tabletop lab equipment, just synthesizing it. That combination of synthetic biology guided by AI is what makes this wave unprecedented.
Okay, I mean, I hear the panic, but historically, haven't we had this exact same fear? Like the loom, the tractor, the computer, they all destroyed jobs, but ultimately created whole new industries. Why is the whole "this time is different" argument actually valid here?
It's really because of the mechanism of deployment. It's zero marginal cost. So during the Industrial Revolution, replacing 100 workers meant sourcing steel, building 100 physical machines, shipping them.
Or training operators for months.
Exactly. But today, a new AI capability can be duplicated 1,000,000 times globally with just a single server update. It's an exponentially improving worker that scales instantly. I mean, it evolves way faster than human institutions can even adapt.
Which means trying to contain open source AI is essentially like trying to ban mathematics. Once the underlying equation's out there, anyone with a decent GPU setup can just, well, run the numbers. You can't lock up a concept.
Right. Which brings us to the core dilemma of Suleyman's book, This Narrow Path. Because on one side of this path, you have total capitulation. We just let the tech grow freely. And because of the scale we just talked about, that leads directly to a handful of tech monopolies controlling the foundational infrastructure of society.
Leading to massive inequality and geopolitical chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
So the natural instinct is to regulate it heavily, obviously. But Suleyman argues the flip side is just as bad, if not worse, because of what containment actually requires. Since the technology is essentially just code and compute, the only way a government can enforce a pause is by literally monitoring every piece of computer hardware and data transfer in the country. To stop the wave, you basically have to build a totalitarian surveillance state, which is terrifying.
It really is. The overarching challenge of our time is finding that delicate middle path between unbridled corporate oligarchy and an absolute surveillance state.
Feels a bit like trying to put a leash on a hurricane, honestly.
That's a great way to put it. So what does this middle path actually look like in practice? We're talking about international compute treaties, tracking the physical supply chains of high-end microchips as like hardware choke points, and building global coalitions to manage the infrastructure.
Before it gets decentralized, beyond all control. Which puts the everyday professional in a really tight spot. You can't rely on global governments to quickly draft compute treaties and perfectly execute this middle path. That means the only viable strategy for you, the listener, is individual agility.
What's fascinating here is that historically, technological containment has almost always failed. The adoption of this wave is simply too profitable for markets to ignore. So for a worker, the strategy cannot be to outcrunch or outdraft the machine.
Right, meaning if you're a financial analyst or a software engineer, your job isn't writing the spreadsheet or the code block from scratch anymore. It's auditing the AI's output, managing the systems, asking the right strategic questions. The biggest danger isn't the technology itself, it's assuming the nature of your daily tasks won't fundamentally change within the next, say, 24 months.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, survival in the workforce requires shifting from being a producer of raw content or analysis to being a director of automated agents. You kind of have to step up a level of abstraction.
You essentially have to accept you can't fight the current.
No, not at all. It forces a profound reevaluation of human utility overall.
So, to sum it up, we are facing an unstoppable wave of cognitive automation that demands a razor-thin balance between innovation and control. But we'll leave you with this. If an AI can instantly execute the complex cognitive tasks that took you years of education to master, how will you define your personal value and your identity when you are no longer defined by your professional skills?